Hey friends, I'm Kat. Welcome to the channel and today's video where we're today going to be going over my 26 books I want to read in 2026. So I spent a lot of time going back and forth in my mind about if I actually wanted to do this because I don't know, it feels kind of cliche. 26 and 2026, it's, I don't know, corny, whatever. Then I was kind of creating my yearly TBR. And I'm not gonna lie, 26 books came together very, very quickly. And here we are. We're just gonna do it like this. So 26 books we're gonna talk about. And I kind of like to do these as a challenge to myself. So I think every book on this list is a classic. At least that's kind of how I wanted to go into this. I also did something a little different and put quite a few books on here that are going to be rereads for me. So a lot of books that I've really, really loved in the past and you know, that I've never gotten back to, but I've wanted to re-explore slash a lot of them, I guess, I read when I was in high school. It's been a lot of years. So I'm actually really, really excited about this list. I really feel like challenging myself with a lot of these books. They're not things I would naturally gravitate toward, but are things that I've been interested in for many, many years. So, you know, it works out very well. So with that being said, we're just going to dive into this list. So 26 books. We are going to start at first with all of my rereads and then just go into the other broader list. I thought I owned a lot more. I thought I owned a lot more of these books, but I can only find 2 on my shelves, so I guess these are the only ones I actually own physically. So first off, let's talk about Wuthering Heights. I really, really love this. I remember it being a very kind of twisty, weird, not happy romance. And I really want to reread this before the movie comes out because I'm super excited for that. And it is a story of a savage, tormented foundling, Heathcliff, who falls wildly in love with Catherine, the daughter of his benefactor, and the violence and misery that result from their thwarted longing for each other. I really, really want to read it. Yeah, I remember this being one of my absolute favorite classics that I've read. And then similarly, Little Women. I've had this copy for so long. This one actually means so much to me. My grandmother gave it to me back when I was 12 years old. And I have not touched it since then. I have not gone back into it, but I remember this one deeply affecting me. Something about this story just wildly moving me when I was younger, and of course I want to get back to it. I've never seen the newer adaptations of it either. I want to do that. I'm excited to revisit this and see if it's just the same for me now as an adult. Gone with the Wind is another one that was my all-time favorite when I was in high school. I've reread this probably about 5 times, and when I go to say what my favorite classic is, it's always Gone with the Wind that comes to my mind. So I want to revisit it. It's been over 10 years since I've read it. This is a perfect time. East of Eden, again, another very, very deeply impactful classic that I've read. One that I remember a teacher gave me in high school, and I've again reread multiple times throughout the years. Really has stuck with me so much, and is one, again, there is a movie adaptation coming out, I believe this year, later on in the year, and I want to read it. I want to reread it before then and just get excited about it. The Fellowship of the Rings. I know my copy is actually somewhere up here, but it's been in my mind for a long time now that I would really like to revisit the Lord of the Rings books. Again, I read these when I was a teenager, and at the time, while I enjoyed them, I also found them incredibly boring. And I know that's part of Tolkien's writing, is that he is very verbose and, you know, really likes to meander in his writing style. But I think that knowing now way more about fantasy literature and seeing the roots of how many things have descended from Tolkien's writing, I think that I would go into it with a different appreciation. And I'm just really excited to revisit this and learn more about the lore of Middle-earth. I'm really in my mind envisioning that I'll reread the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then I'm hoping that then spurs me into picking up all of Tolkien's other works and getting like really deep into the lore of Middle-earth. Like I'm thinking Silmarillion, like that is something that I would love to tackle. I know I've attempted it before and never really got far into it. So that is something that I would really, really, really love. And the final one that's a reread, no, I've won 2 more. So Anne of Green Gables, I mean, as many Canadian kids, I absolutely loved this growing up and was really connected to Anne in a lot of ways. She is a very voracious reader, somebody who kind of just lived in her own imaginary world, and it was something I really connected to as a kid, and I don't know, feel like revisiting that. And then the final reread we have is Pride and Prejudice, which I don't even know if I should count this as a reread because I've only read this in French, and I don't know if I necessarily like had if it had the same impact in my brain that way, because there's a lot of nuances in Austen's writing that perhaps did not quite click for me reading it in a different language. And I'd really like to try reading it in English and see how I feel, because at the time I did like, while I enjoyed it, I don't know if I really like loved it. So it's something I would like to try it in English and kind of see what I think about that. I mean, as a separate goal, I do at some point really want to start getting back into reading French books, and I do have some French literature on this list, which I don't think I'm quite at the point where I'm ready to tackle that. My French ability, while I am bilingual, I don't know if I'm quite ready to read classics in French, but maybe one day we'll get there. And now let's get into the other books that are just my general rest of my list. I'm not really going to get into any details on any of these because quite frankly I don't know that much, and also I don't want to know a crazy amount. I enjoy going into books not necessarily knowing the biggest details. I like just knowing general plot points, and some of these, you know, I don't feel like doing a deep dive research and just reading you the plots of everything. So first off we have Middlemarch, which I'm trying to think of why I added this to the list. I don't know, it sounded good. Anna Karenina, I have never really dove into the world of Russian literature, and I do have a few others on here. Like the next one is Crime and Punishment. I've never really attempted Russian literature. I've always wanted to. I've always thought I would quite enjoy it, but just the naming conventions is something that scares me. I know that typically in this literature, a lot of the characters have multiple names that they're referred to by, and different nicknames depending on which family members are talking to them, this kind of stuff. And it is definitely something that intimidates me. It's something that I think is going to take significant brain power, and at the same time, I'm ready to give it a try. That does make me really excited. So yeah, Anna Karenina, Crime and Punishment. Is there any others? I think those are the only ones that are actual like Russian literature. In terms of French literature, we do have 3. And again, I've never really dove into French literature either. I've done some of it in French growing up in school, and I guess like it's been many years, same thing. So I would have originally read them in French, and it's going to be a different experience reading them in English. I would like to get to the point at some point in my life where we're reading it in French. I think I'm going to have to put a lot of resources into improving my language before I get there. So the 3 that we have, there is The Three Musketeers, The Count of Monte Cristo, and Les Miserables. I'm really excited to get all of them. All of them are ones that, you know, they sound like they are chunkers. They sound like they are quite a bit to get through, but let's attempt it. Why not? And then, okay, English, The Romantics. So I mentioned already like Wuthering Heights, Pride and Prejudice. Then I believe, are these also both from Austen? Maybe. Emma and Sense and Sensibility. Never touched either of them. I don't know that much about the plots of these because I've never seen adaptations of them. I don't really know much at all, but I definitely want to know more. I feel like I'm eventually going to get into the point where I just want to read all of Austen's works and all of the English romantics. Why not? What else? A very random one. This is probably the least classic on this list, but I want to read Wicked. And part of that is just I'm a very big fan of the musical. I really love Wizard of Oz and any adaptation of it. And I'm just really, really curious to get into the novels. I know that they're unhinged. I've heard a lot of things about just how weird these books are, but that isn't really a turnoff for me. That's not really something that scares me. I'm just really, really curious to get into it. And yeah, these ones, they're not, that one I would not say is a classic at all, but a very popular adaptation. Shogun, I have a copy of that actually. Found a copy of this on my dad's shelves and immediately had to grab it for myself. So this is the story of an Englishman who goes to Japan and gets involved in all of the politics there. The show is fantastic. It is one of the best shows I've seen in recent years. And, you know, figured why not? Why not read the book and see what I think about it? Then what else? We have Atlas Shrugged by, I think it's Ayn Rand. I believe so. I've always wanted to pick up some of her stuff. Why not? Mrs. Dalloway, I think that's by Virginia Woolf. I've always wanted to pick up some of her stuff, so let's give it a try. And these are the ones that seemed more popular and slash the ones I've seen most recommended, so perfect. I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier last year and loved it, so I want to pick up another one of her books, which is Jamaica Inn. I've heard a lot of really good recommendations. I think this is another like gothic romance slash gothic thriller. Love it. Love kind of gothic books. The Magic Mountain, I actually once again cannot think of anything about what this is about, but something about it captivated my interest. Moby Dick. This, again, feels like a momentous challenge. I've attempted to read it before and did not get very far in, but I think it could be a very interesting time. We'll see how it goes. It's just a battle of a man and a whale. Why not? And then we're just getting into the final few now. So We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I've read one other book by her, what's her most popular one? The Haunting at Hill House. I hated it. Truly thought it was terrible, but might as well, I would like to give her one more shot and see if any of her stuff works for me. Because I've read like short stories of hers and I have enjoyed them. 100 Years of Solitude, one that I've wanted to pick up for ages and ages. I just kind of need to give myself a reason to actually do it. And maybe not a classic, but more of a modern classic perhaps. And then the final one we'll talk about is Brave New World, which I think this is a utopian society. I have wanted to also read this since high school and have never done it. So let's do it. Let's actually like make myself do these things. So with that, those are the 26 books I am aiming to read in 2026. Obviously, I'm going to read lots of other things. These are more just what we'll say are my challenge books. The ones that I will not necessarily gravitate towards easily and that I'm very much going to have to push myself to pick up. But I like doing that. I like challenging myself. I like a little reading challenge, a little something difficult in my life. So I'm really, really excited for all of these. And thank you for watching today's video. So I will hopefully be talking about these in many, many vlogs to come. But yeah, hopefully it will go well. So thank you for watching. Would love to know if you've read any of these classics, if you have any ones that you think I should prioritize / any ones that you really loved. And I'll see you in a video very, very soon. Bye.